This is a Sandy Boy Productions podcast. Hey friends, welcome to All Have Another podcast with Lindsay Hine. I'm your host, Lindsay. Thanks for joining us today. We've got an introduction to a new podcast that is joining the Sandy Boy Productions podcast network. Really excited about this. It's been really fun adding these new shows to the network. And when I created the network back in 2020, I didn't know what it would end up looking like. And it's been fun to see the momentum pick up here in the last couple years. So this podcast, dun dun, it is called the Out and Back Podcast, hosted by Rory Linkletter and Jacob Thomson. They're both professional runners chasing fast times and big goals on the roads. They train in Flagstaff. They have a passion for storytelling, running culture, and building community. They bring listeners behind the scenes of the marathon lifestyle. Training talk with a few detours. All right, so you all know Rory has been on this podcast a few times. He's a Canadian Olympian. He is the proud father of two with one on the way, and he brings perspective shaped by both elite sport and everyday life. You might already be following his YouTube channel. He's got a pretty active YouTube channel. We will link it in the show notes. He's got a 2:06:49 marathon PR, which he ran in Chicago last fall. And he and Jacob are buddies. They run together. Jacob is a U.S. half marathon champion and professional runner for Under Armour, always chasing faster times and better answers. When he's not training, he coaches athletes and runs a summer cross-country camp, helping the next generation learn how to train with intention. Outside of running, he enjoys spending time with his wife, college basketball, and sitting around a campfire. So check their podcast out. It's called Out and Back. And you can find Jacob on Instagram, JTCougars8. You can find Rory _Linkletter on Instagram. All right. Well, I hope you enjoy this conversation and getting to know these guys a little bit through this conversation. And I hope you will take a minute, stop what you're doing, and go hit subscribe on their podcast, Out and Back. All right, friends, enjoy my conversation with Rory and Jacob. All right, friends. Well, we have a special episode today because guess what? We have added a new podcast to the Sandy Boy Productions podcast network, the Out and Back podcast with Rory Linkletter and Jacob Thomson. Welcome to the network, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I'm so excited to have you join. I will say you're the first all-male hosted podcast in the network. So that's exciting. Congratulations. My friend Peter Bromka was like, I didn't know you accepted men to your team.
Oh, there we go. Well, I guess we'll be the groundbreaking male dominant podcast. Although we've made a lot of jokes about our mostly male based, like, I guess, listener audience. And we've had a few women point out that they are day one out and backers.
Yeah, I will say our last episode, we were kind of joking about this, and we got like 6 or 7 comments from women. So there we go.
What was the episode? Was it like a specific, like, who was the guest?
We did a mailbag. We did a little bit of like a fun, like, take some listener cues, and we gave credit to the listeners. Like, we called them out by name, which was fun. And we had 2 ladies give us very good questions, and we said shout out to our lady listeners and made a couple jokes that they were the only ones listening that were ladies. And then we had others, speak up. Oh, I listened too. So
you did give me your percentages. I think it was it 84% male?
Yeah. Something like that, yeah. But statistically, that means there's like 400-ish women listening, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad. I think that's
not too
good.
bad.
Okay, let's start here. What made you both want to start a podcast? I think we talked about this when Emma and I had the call with you guys about like starting the podcast, and I forget what your answer was, but you were like, there's already so many podcasts out here. Why do we want to do this? What is your reasoning?
I guess I approached Rory about doing a podcast. I feel like there are a lot of podcasts, but there weren't any podcasts that were like very like high level marathon specific, I guess. Like, there are a lot of running podcasts out there, and but I feel like our our niche is pretty big, which is like, people who want to or care about performance, or, not just in it to, finish a marathon, but they care about, hitting a BQ, or, trying to chase an Olympic trials qualifier time. And, Rory and I have both been like pretty successful at the marathon, and we run together quite a bit, and we talk about training, and we talk about marathon racing and road racing in general. And we're like, let's just take this to a podcast and see how it does. And yeah, it did pretty well kind of from the jump. And yeah, I think we're about 100 days in now, and 20 episodes or so, 22 episodes. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So I think we'll keep rolling with it.
My fear was doing like just another running podcast. And I think what we're trying to do is just make it more about having conversations and being like very informative in like how we think about running and training and how we interview people. I feel like if you listen to us interview people, it's like we're trying to learn from them, or like kind of share wisdom back and forth. It's almost like you're sitting in on, say we have a third professional marathoner, and you're sitting on three marathoners talking about marathon training, but not just like for the layperson, but as if we were actually curious to learn things that we find beneficial for ourselves. And so I think we're trying to cut a little deeper than just like hey, tell us why you started running. And yeah, not that there's anything wrong with that. Those origin stories are very interesting and fun, but also just kind of getting into the nitty gritty. Like we interviewed Floberg, and I wanted to know all about his content creation because I'm interested in content creation. So it was more about that side of it than anything else.
Yeah, and I feel like just to even add more onto that, like I follow cycling a good amount, and like I really enjoy listening. Like there's a couple of the riders that are on the Tour de France and stuff that have their podcasts, and I enjoy listening to those because it kind of cuts through the fluff of a lot of stuff that you get on the internet. And it's like, yeah, what do you do after a stage when you're getting ready for a stage the next day? Like it's kind of gets into the details of that, and that's something that I really enjoy listening to. So kind of taking like a running version to that. And then obviously, both of us are sponsored athletes. So like, it's good for us. It's good for our personal brands. The more we're out there, like Rory has a YouTube channel and a coaching business. I have a coaching business. So like the more we're out there, I think the better for our brands, the better for sponsorships. And if we can learn stuff and help others while we're doing it, then why not?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. And I think that there's something about podcasting, which you could do this on YouTube if you had like long form conversations. But I do think with podcasting, people get to know you a lot more than your posts and your reels on social media. And even like cool videos on YouTube where someone else is, you have a professional like following your training or whatever, because you're like unfiltered personality on a podcast that you don't get elsewhere. Do you feel that way? Because otherwise, where else would people hear that from you? I guess when you're a guest on somebody else's podcast.
Yeah, I think that's another big one. Is like, I think in order to get people to feel like they really know who we are and cheer for us, which I've talked about, like the business of professional running being unique in the sense that there's the only promotion is self-promotion, really. We don't have a league or a team that's really pushing our content through the roof or getting our personalities out there. So it's like, okay, well, how do I make some random person in Manitoba decide that they want to be a big Rory Linkletter fan for JT? Maybe he wants somebody from his hometown in Kentucky to be inspired by his story or something. I feel like to reach those people in a meaningful way, aside from just like, oh, check out my sick pace on my run or something. I think that this is a great opportunity for people to get to know us, and hopefully we share things that are actually deep and personal and get into areas of the sport that other people are very curious about.
Yeah, I pretty much second that. I feel like Rory and I are both pretty good at like pulling back the curtain, and yeah, just being like, I don't know if brutally honest is the right word. Both like a little like brash maybe, or in the way we talk. And I feel like that's something that people enjoy. Like, yeah, like I kind of said earlier, like cutting through the fluff. People want to know the actual details, like of what's going on, how we're doing stuff, not just like looking at it on an Instagram reel, but let's get into the details and get into the numbers. That's like one thing that whenever we have somebody on and we're like asking them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I run like high mileage." Like, all right, let's break it down. Like, let's get into what are you actually
what does that
doing?
mean actually?
Yeah, I feel like that's something that because like that's the content that I as a professional enjoy. Like, I want to know what other people are doing. So, and I know the 2:30 marathoners and the 3-hour marathoners out there, like they want to know that stuff too. They don't want to just know how so and so got their start in running when they were a kid and they got cut from the soccer team. I feel like you hear that story like over and over. They want to know what were your lactate
soccer
numbers. Yeah, it's always like
Not for me,
they want to know
but...
the exciting stuff. So we try to bring that to the table and ask questions that lead to pretty honest discussions.
Yeah, I totally hear what you're saying about the like, bring me back. Like, when did you start running? And I'm always like, I think the art to that is if you want to make sure that part of the story is told on a podcast, it's like you find that out beforehand as the host. And then you throw the fact in there and add in a question that layers on top of it so that, hey, the storyline is set, right? Like we know where you came from, but what we're really interested in this. I think there's an art to figuring out how to do that depending on who the guest is and what the ultimate storyline is,
Yeah,
definitely.
I agree for sure.
It's tough. And then the other thing is with the mileage is like, I always feel like I want to ask that question, but I want to get to it and move on quickly because it's like, it is important. Like, because my audience is different than yours, obviously, but like, it's important because when someone says they run high mileage, it's like, okay, like you said, what does that mean? People want to know, but I don't know if I need to get into the nitty gritty of all that. So this is so interesting because your podcast specifically is for these like high achieving athletes that are looking to level up their game.
Yeah, or anyone that's curious about the high, like what actually goes on when you enter that realm. Yeah, so for us, like high mileage is such a non-definite term. So it's like, well, I need you to like specify Jake
Yeah.
Bearclaw, how much are you actually running? So
Yeah, I mean, it could mean literally anything from
Right.
60 miles a week is high mileage to someone, and 155 is high mileage to another person. So it's like, just trying to get
all
behind
relative.
the actual answers to the questions.
What do you think high mileage is?
I'd say if you average over 110 for
Okay.
a block, that would be high mileage.
I would add 10 to that. I'd say you have to like 120 is the threshold to me. Not average, but like consistently touching over that, because I find for myself that to be like the point where things get really challenging, and where the point where, because I am curious and following a lot of other runners training, that's where a lot of people draw their imaginary line. Well, why would I do more than 120? That's like this like, for some reason everyone's decided that's the peak. Very few crossover. So that's where I begin the high volume approach.
What's your high volume, Jacob? Like personally?
I mean, like the highest I've ever done, I've run like 136 in 1 week. But I would say like the last couple weeks I've been right around that like 120 to 115 range. And then I'll kind of spike up every once in a while to the 130s. But that's like in the middle of a marathon block as well. So like, it's not like I'm doing that all year round. It's like, that's, a handful of weeks in a 12 or 16 week block, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like when I interview the pros, it's anywhere from 70 to like 140. I feel like that's a pretty big range though, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a very big range.
140 is big time work, in my opinion. That's where it's like 20 miles a day, no days off, 7 days a week. That's when that is
Very
a next
few.
level commitment.
I think Dakota Popane, she runs really, really high mileage. I don't know if she hit 140, but she's definitely cruising over 120 sometime, if I'm remembering our conversations.
Yeah,
she runs a lot, and she runs hard too.
Yeah, I made a joke that her and I had the same high volume like peak in one of our builds, but she had done it in like an hour and 30 minutes less cumulative time on the week.
Whoa.
Because Strava shows that. So it took her 90 minutes less to run the exact same amount of mileage as I did in a week. And I pointed that out to her. And she's like, yeah, like I don't run very slow very often. And it's like all of her runs are at 640 pace at a minimum, and mine, like I would never run an easy run at 640 pace. I just don't.
What do you run your easy runs at?
between 7 minutes and 7:30, pretty much
Okay.
in
Which
that
is
range, and never
not
really
very
faster
fast
and never
for
really slower.
Really? That's just right where your comfort is.
Yeah,
The
I mean, I don't
ultimate
really
easy
think
run.
about it, but I that's what it ends up being. Every now and then, like, I'll be shocked if I break 7 on an easy run that's relatively flat or rolling hills. If it's like net uphill on the way out, net down on the way back, you might get a little
Yeah.
aided 640 here and there, but yeah, it all shakes out to be around that range.
I feel like especially in Flagstaff, because like a lot of the runs will go on like parts of trails or
Mm.
big hills. You're at 7,000 feet.
Rocky.
Yeah, it's not like you're at sea level on a flat neighborhood loop. Like when I go home to my parents' house, like 640 pace feels easier than 720
Cruising.
pace here. Yeah.
Okay, one of the questions I have for you all is we talked about how you are the promoter of your own career, right? Like you're making this happen. And I wonder how you decide, like, how much can I give to this, right? Because the running well and family are probably the top two priorities. And so, how do you decide like how much time you're going to give to like podcasting and social media and these kinds of projects?
I would say I very much go in waves with this. Like I'll get like very active on social media for like 4 or 6 weeks, and then I'll just completely disappear from it for a
Go
while. And
dark.
it really depends on like how hard I'm like training at the time. And I feel like that is, I feel like that's one thing. Like a lot of people have told Rory and I, given us feedback, like, oh, you guys should do 2 or 3 episodes a week, and it's like
Ooh,
that just isn't feasible with like we have an hour to do this a week, and then spend another hour-ish editing it, and that's pretty much the amount of time I feel like right now, um, that we have for it. And I guess that's pretty much the equation for me.
Yeah, I would say for me personally, I've always put an emphasis and a priority on sharing. Even back in college, I was like one of the few first guys that would like, I had like a running post race report blog in college,
hmm.
which was like my first like trying to do things differently approach. I've tried a lot of things in like the sharing my journey sector. Now it's basically YouTube, Instagram, Strava, I would give a little bit of attention to, and then the podcasting space now. And that's kind of where I'll funnel all my energy. And I think, to be honest, now it's less so about how much time it consumes and more so about what kind of like buy-in does it cost to get
Mm.
the product out there. And that this is like one of the big hurdles for professional athletes to get over is if you aren't a part of a team like say Dark Sky where JT runs, where they have a full-time content creator that can help you with this, it's coming out of your own budget, coming out of your own pocket. And the better you want to do, the more you're going to have to fork out. So that's, you know, it's taken a long time building it to the point where I'm at right now where I can contract someone out for YouTube content and have regular people at practice to get photos so that I can
Mhm.
share updates with my followers and whatnot. And yeah, so it's not so much about time anymore because I've kind of allotted this chunk of time to it. Now it's about resources, really.
Mhm. That is such a good point because if you are not hiring some of that out or you don't have a team person for that, like, what are you gonna do? Like, tell your teammate, "Hey, can you take a couple pictures of me on this 800 right here?" Like, that's what us
I've seen
everyday
people do
athletes
that.
do.
Some people will do that. I'm past that point, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's because
Yeah,
that's honestly, that's mental energy, like, taking away mental energy from your workout, but also at the same time, you're doing the work. Like, you wanna promote what you're doing so that your fans can see, so I get it, but yeah, that's tough.
yeah. I feel like Rory does a really good job with the YouTube stuff, and I feel like his YouTube channel like keeps growing, and that's something that like I really wanted to get into the YouTube space, but to me it was like I'm gonna have to hire someone to do this. At first, you're not making any money from it, so it's like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm sinking $500,000 a month, I guess, into YouTube production, and it's like, is that worth it? Until you get to like a certain point, then it is worth it. But like starting out, I'm like, all right, let's just do the podcast first because it's pretty low like hurdle,
Yeah.
I guess, to get into. But yeah, that's definitely like a factor that plays into a lot of this stuff. It's just time and resources.
Yeah, and talk about like a job category for these young people starting out in the workforce. Like there's a lot of need for this. The content creation and the capturing of that. Do you mind sharing a little bit about like the business model of the YouTube and like at what point do you like does the investment pay itself off as far as like advertising on YouTube and things like that?
Yeah, so I'm over 2 years into it. I started it in November 2023, so just over 2 years in the YouTube world, and I would say the first year, almost no ROI, like,
Mhm.
definitely all red,
Mhm.
and started getting like, I became monetized 3 or 4 months in, so
Okay.
that's where you get some AdSense revenue, which is where you get a chunk of your YouTube viewership and ads that they're running through your channel kick back to you. That's chump change in the game of content creation. It can eat at the overhead, but it doesn't you're never gonna see a profit unless your video somehow hits like a what we call what it's like golden content where it like lasts forever and it stays relevant beyond like post date. I haven't ever had one of those, but apparently if you're an influencer and you can do like those
Mm.
like how to get sub 15 in the 5K and then people keep coming back because that's something someone searches every time they might be interested in the sport. Then that's how you kind of make the AdSense revenue, which is a Google, YouTube, way to keep creators on their platform. And that's an ebb and flow. That's just a small piece of the puzzle. Then you start looking at like, well, does this add value to my current sponsorships? Will they start seeing more value in what I'm doing? Will it add new sponsorships that are not just content centric? So people that want to get on the bandwagon because they see that you're creating good content. And those things started happening after a year. I was also starting to run a little bit better, made my first Olympic team.
Mm.
So it's like not directly tied, but I
Mhm.
started to see more opportunities come my way. And I'd say now in the last 6 months, I'm getting ad reads, which pay for all the costs. So now I'm able to start to profit a small amount. And I'm now starting to see bigger opportunities in like the secondary sponsor market.
Mhm.
And I have races that are telling me that they would like me to talk about their race when I on my YouTube when I announce. Like they want me to be like,
Oh.
please promote our race via your YouTube. They'll even like send me like their emblem, like so that I have like a watermark to throw on there. And they're like, yeah, throw this in there and tell people, we still have 10% of our slots left or something, right? So it's starting to become a net gain, but I would still say I'm in the red if we're looking at total money spent on it and
Investment,
money
yeah.
gained. But I think I will climb out of that in the next, hopefully 6 months to a year. That'll be 3 years into the adventure.
Right, like, it's such a testament to, like, this is the long game. I always tell people when they start a podcast, I'm like, "Do not start a podcast to make money," because it is so hard to grow a podcast, and you can't just, like, expect to launch and, get all these advertisers. But when a race does that, do they say, like, "Okay, whatever, your appearance fee is X dollars. If you add on YouTube promotion," do they raise what they're
I
paying you
think it's
then?
baked in now. I think it's a
Baked
little
in,
baked
okay.
in. Yeah, it's like, "Oh, and we'd love you to feature a little bit on the YouTube."
Okay.
And, like, for example, I'm doing Ottawa after Boston this year, and they are going to give a shared hotel room to a content creator that I choose to bring. So,
Oh, fun. I
you
love
know,
that.
that there's an opportunity there for me to cut a lot of costs out of potentially bringing someone in, and that those are, like, the nice little gestures that they see the value there, and it helps cut a little bit of that overhead for me.
Yeah, and I mean, as a new content creator, getting a free stay or trip to wherever you're going, that's huge for them. What would you say your overall goal is with the podcast, the Out and Back? Like, at the end of the day, what are the goals?
The big goal is I'm involved in like all these different like grassroots thing. I put on a high school running camp, I
Oh,
coach a
cool.
lot of athletes, put on meets back in Kentucky. So like I kind of do all these different things that yes, like I obviously am benefiting from like doing them as like part of you know my job and my income and stuff. But I also really enjoy like giving back and trying to anybody that's like interested in performance, like
Hmm.
that's like what I'm interested in. So like if having these discussions and these conversations like helps others that way, and then eventually they want to talk to us about coaching, or they want to talk to us about YouTube or whatever it is they like are interested in getting like involved in. I think it's like kind of just like a net positive for everyone. And I mean, Rory and I run together quite a bit. We both train here at a very high level in Flagstaff, and it's we're having these conversations with pro runners 5 days a week pretty much on our run. So why not take it to the internet and have them where other people can hear them too.
It's really just a springboard for our future adult running camp that we're going to open up in some point in the future. No, maybe that we'll get enough traction with the show that we can start doing fun things like that I think would be really cool. And, further again, the primary objective of just getting more people interested in what we're doing and having them invested so that we can monetize our little world that we're in. So, I think it's kind of, it serves a couple purposes. It's the opportunity to learn more, share more, engage more with an audience, and see what opportunities come out of it.
Pretty much like we just enjoyed like talking to other runners about their training and finding out those answers like for ourselves, because we both have quite a bit of say in our own training. We both like tried and experimented a lot of different like ways of training, and then if there are other net benefits to it, like that's all kind of icing on the cake, I guess.
How are you deciding on your guests and who's doing the pitching?
Usually we just text somebody and like, hey, we usually try to record on Wednesday or Thursday. Are you free? And I guess 100% of the time they've said yes so far.
Well, I can think of one person, but I won't out them on the podcast. But we have enough connections where it's kind of started to just be like a little bit more of like a who we already know.
Yeah.
And we need to do a better job of building a pipeline, but also we've gotten away with just kind of like Monday comes around. Oh, who do we want to talk to this week? Let's reach out to someone. Or we can just have like a non-guest oriented podcast, which I actually personally think those are the most fun, is when we can bring as many topics as we can and just chat with each other and just kind of get into the deep stuff. Cause sometimes, I like interviewing guests. Like that's a really fun way to learn. But I think we can get deeper if we kind of hand select and just go back and forth with one another, or bring in a third person that instead of interviewing them, we add them as like an expert on some subject. Like we're going to talk to Brady Holmer later today. That'll be our podcast for the end of the week. And it's just going to be let's nerd out about a few things in the running science realm. We're not going to be asking Brady a ton of personal questions. We're going to just be talking about things that we're interested in, the science of sport.
I've seen him on a couple clips shared, and I've been interested. I'm like, should I pitch him for my show? I think that's interesting because sometimes it's really nice to bank episodes, right? But then sometimes it just feels more natural to see what comes that week. What are you in the mood for? What is relevant going on right now?
We do need a little bit better of a planning system, probably, because usually it is like
we need a booker.
It usually is like Sunday, Monday. We text each other. We're like, all right, who are we thinking? Let's get a couple of texts out and see what happens.
Yeah. So. It's nice to have a couple in the hopper that are like not time sensitive, that you can be like, oh, we're having an off week, or we're too tired for this week. Let's just throw this one out there. But then when I do that, I always feel bad because I'm like holding on to an episode, and I don't want the guest to think it's not a good episode. I'm just saving it for a rainy day because it's not a relevant topic, Okay, are you guys both running Boston?
Yes,
we are.
Oh, that's so exciting. Have you run Boston, Jacob?
I have not. I lived in Boston for, I guess, just under 3 years. When straight out of college, I ran for Adidas and ran for the BAA, so I trained on the course quite a bit, but I've never run the Boston Marathon.
Okay, Rory, what are your tips for his first go?
Expect the worst, plan for everything. I don't know. I've had my worst and my best marathon of my career both at Boston. So I think it's fair to say that you don't know what you're getting yourself into. You got to get ready to get punched in the mouth, and it's a battle. But from my experience now, I think it's the greatest show on asphalt for the marathon, and it's special. It can bring out a lot of really, really cool things out of people. I think that there's something magical about the how few marathons are race centric now and not paced. Like no pacers. Don't bring the pacers, and let's get 40 of the best men and women in the world on a start line, and let's throw elements, hills, whatever we can at them and see what happens. So I think preparing for everything is the fun part. Is you go in with as many tools at your disposal as possible and see what gets thrown at you that day, and hope that you've prepared for enough scenarios where you're ready for a lot of stuff.
I want your response to that.
No, I think that's pretty fair. I think everybody knows that's kind of how Boston is. It can be 80 degrees, or it can be a blizzard, or it can be super windy and rainy. It's definitely a very challenging course. I feel like I know the course all right, just because like I lived there for so long. And I'm gonna go spend like 4 days there in March. Nice. And just run on the course, just because it's been a couple of years since I've been there. But yeah, I feel like I do really well, or like I really enjoy races that aren't just time trials. Like there's not that there's anything wrong with going and try to run a fast time at Valencia, or Chicago's kind of like that, I guess. But yeah, with all the pacers, and it's like, all right, here's your pace groups ready to go. I really enjoy like, oh yeah, there's probably someone might break away, but like there's probably going to be a big pack of guys rolling together, and it's just going to be like, all right, who can withstand this, almost like a cross country race. And I really enjoy that kind of environment. So yeah, I'm looking forward to racing Boston finally.
Yeah, and we just interviewed, I was not available, but Peter and Matt just interviewed Jacob on, should I be calling you JT? Because Rory keeps calling you JT, and I say Jacob.
So only people in Flagstaff call me JT. I think it's because my coach / agent, Stephen Hask, like when I moved to town, he started calling me JT, and then now everybody.
So it's just a thing
outside
there.
of Flagstaff, everybody.
But it would be weird if someone like me called you that. Okay, got it.
I'll respond to both, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, just not Jake. I don't do Jake.
Jake.
I don't do Jake, but Jacob or JT is all good.
There's a certain person that like shortens the name before they really know you. Like, I'll meet people and they'll like start calling me Linz before we're like really close, and I'm like, I didn't know we were like at the Linz level yet. I don't know. There's just a person that shortens names. You know what I mean?
To be fair, it is my Instagram handle.
Oh, that's probably why
I made in like probably 8th grade or my freshman year of high school. So it's just kind of stuck with me, I guess.
You know, Stephen Haas also went to IU, so he was probably excited about the Hoosiers winning.
He was very excited about the Hoosiers. He showed up to the night of the game. The game was on a Monday, right? We always meet and do like double and drills and strides and stuff at the track on Monday, and yeah, he was there, but decked out in all IU, and then like left as soon as we were wrapped up, so he could get home and get situated for the game.
So
I hit him from across the track with a hoo. And then so it was fun.
So yeah, Jacob was recently on Road to the Trials with Peter and Matt. So definitely go listen to that episode, friends, if you want to get a deeper dive into his story. But you did just run CIM, which I would say is probably a really great primer for Boston as far as the course goes.
I think so. I mean, it's kind of one of those one step up, 2 step down kind of courses. So you got to roll with the tough parts and take advantage of the downhills. And same thing, it was a championship style race. Like we were all, I ended up finishing 6th place and running a PR in 2:10. But yeah, we were all together at I think mile 20 or mile 21 until moves started being made. There was probably 10 or 12 of us in that group at that point. And I think Boston it's obviously going to be a much higher caliber field, but I kind of see it running, besides the fact that it's going to run a lot faster, be a similar style at least.
What does success in Boston look like for each of you?
I'll go first, I guess. I say it's being in the lead pack as long as humanly possible, and ideally, I'd say success is longer than last year. And last year, I would say I was comfortably in the lead pack going into Newton, and then hanging on for dear life up until heartbreak. So if I could get comfortable up until heartbreak and then hang on for dear life till Cleveland Circle or something. I don't know. Something like that. I would be stoked. I mean, really all I want is just the opportunity for if something breaks in a positive way that I can take advantage of it. The field's super deep. So what that's going to be this year is to be determined, but fit enough to go with everything.
What are you telling yourself in your mind if things break apart and you have an opportunity turning on to Boylston to get on that podium?
Oh, I mean,
what is your brain doing?
If I'm already there, it's like it's house money. Like that's what you live for, the opportunity. So the opportunity's there. There's nothing to lose. You just go for it and you just have fun and you like soak in it. Like last year, I would say that sensation of rounding that final turn and being like 6 inches because we took the corner so tight, like in the strategic, like trying to cut in and get to Boylston. I had like this echo chamber of noise around me. And I mean, it was like my arms were tingling, but not from like fading, but from like almost like adrenaline rush in that moment. So I would chase that high over and over and over and over again. It was unbelievable. So being on Boylston with any meaningful place, if it's fifth, if it's just a battle for a specific spot in the top 10, like it was last year where I was able to come away sixth after turning that corner with Clayton, that's perfect. That's everything you wish for. So.
All right, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, I think giving yourself a chance is like the biggest thing. Like my full intention is to, unless it's really absurdly crazy. I mean, I think they went out and 61 high last year, 62 flat. Like I want to be with that group and give myself a chance to be in the top 10. Like I haven't cracked the top 10 at a major yet. I've been 12th. I kind of had a weird journey with the marathon where I did 3 marathons and like PR'd every time. I'm like, all right, the next step is like top 10 at majors. And then kind of like blew up for basically a year and a half where I had tore my labrum, had like all these injuries and stuff I had to get through basically. And I feel like I finally in the last year now have like turned the corner where, yeah, I'm able to run these 120, 130 mile weeks. I'm able to train as hard as I can. Like my body is not a limitation anymore. So now it's, I feel like, yeah, really confident kind of coming off of last fall where I got in really good shape. And now it's like, all right, let's train specifically for the Boston course and see what we can be ready for. But yeah, really just giving myself a chance to compete with the best is something that excites me. And yeah, Boston is the place to do it. I would say it's probably the best American field I've seen on paper outside of the Olympic trials. So yeah, pretty much everybody who's anybody and American marathoning is going to be there. And yeah, those are the people I want to compete with.
Dude, those start lists, those are crazy. Well, I feel like you're on the verge of some more breakthroughs. I know you had like a 40-some second PR at CIM, which is a huge breakthrough in itself, but like it sounds like being able to train consistently multiple seasons, you're about to really make another breakthrough. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
I want to know what is something about your co-host or like a random story that you could share that we might not know about them.
Yeah, I'll go first since I have one in the chamber for JT. So JT and I, similar ages. I think he's a year ahead of me in school, maybe like 18 months to 2 years older than me. But we've been competing against each other for a long time, and we're both like very fiery, very competitive people, but we've never had like beef in my mind. But I do have a very funny story of like a Halloween party in Flagstaff in 2020. It would have been 2022 or 2023, I believe. I think 2022, yes. And my brother-in-law was in town, and we're going to go to this house party at Nick Hauger and Ian Carter's house, 2 runners here in town. And we show up. JT and I are like some of the first people there. My brother-in-law, Pat Casey, the usual suspects. And there's a beer pong table. We're in off season, keep in mind. And JT and I start playing some beer pong and chirping each other a little bit. And I was on my brother-in-law's team. He was on Pat Casey's team, but they were on the same end together, my brother-in-law and JT. And my brother-in-law knows nothing about running at this point in his life. So he's just making small talk, getting to know JT. He goes, "So do you run too?" And JT's response was at the time, "Yeah, I'm better than Rory." So that's like my favorite. Like, that's how JT is. He's fiery, he's competitive, and I feel like we're both that way. So I'll never forget it, because I at the time I think we had like equal PBs, or JT had a nod in a few events, so I could see why he would say that. But at the time, if you would have asked me the same question, I would have been like, "No, I'm better than JT." So yeah, it's a fun little competitive story.
Do you remember who won the game?
No,
the beer pong.
I don't remember either.
Genuinely blacked out that night. It was bad.
This is why the Z-Biotics partnership is going to be great for you guys.
Yeah, I think that would be a great starting slot for us.
Yes.
I guess my thing with like Rory has, I guess it's not that like crazy of it's not a story I guess at all, but Rory's a very loving father and husband to his family.
Yeah,
I'll go something super nice.
There we go.
Sweet.
We'll go yin and yang a little bit. I'll tell a fiery story, and you can just pat me on the back so that everyone's on your side going forward.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, cool. Well, listen, everybody has to go check out the podcast, Out and Back. So excited that you joined. This was, Emma, my editor. She suggested reaching out to you guys, and I told her, I was like, what if they say no? I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't like to get told no. And we had some conversations, and you guys said yes, and I'm really excited to bring you on, and can't wait to grow more together.
Thanks for having us, and we're
looking forward to it.
Where it goes.
All right.
Sandy boys.
Sandy boys. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here, everybody. Appreciate you joining us. And if you want to learn more about Sandy Boy Productions, go to sandyboyproductions.com. We've got a list of all of our shows in the Our Shows tab, as well as the different partners we work with across the network. If you would like to advertise with any of the shows in the network, be a guest on any of the shows, or book a live event with any of the hosts, definitely check out our website, sandyboyproductions.com, and click on the Advertise with Us, Be Our Guest, or Book a Live Event tab. You have to go to Work with Us, and then you click on those individual tabs. You can email me, lindsay@sandyboyproductions.com. Hey, I'm going to be at the Napa Valley Marathon here in a couple weeks. If you're there, come say hi. I am emceeing that race. I'll also be at the Blue Ridge Marathon, Big Sur Marathon, and the 500 Festival Indy Mini. I would love to see you. If you're going to be at any of those events, we do have a live show we're working on with the Indy Mini. It'll be the day before the race on Friday around like 4 p.m. So we'd love to see you there. I will link all of that. Once we get that Eventbrite up, I'll link that on my Instagram, lindsayhine626. Thanks for being here. I'm excited about this new podcast, Out and Back. Go check it out. Have a great rest of your day.